November 28th, 2023 special meeting, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Ms. Alcantar, are there any public comments this evening? All right. The board will go into a closed meeting as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act under the Texas Government Code sections listed on our agenda. The board is now back in open session. There are no actions to be taken, and so at this time, the special meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call to order the November 28th, 2023 regular meeting. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Dr. Busby, are there any special recognitions this evening?
Yes, ma'am. We're going to call to the podium Justin Marino, who has some information to share on our special recognition.
Strategic plan, as you know, our department directors and our goal owners get the opportunity to come before you during board meetings to share a department update or a goal update, to really be transparent and speak to the community about what's happening in the school district. And tonight, the technology department has the opportunity to share and brag about some of the great things happening within their department. You know, their lives have been extremely busy since May of 2022 after the bond passed. And you know, when we talk about the employees in Montgomery ISD, there's those who deliver the instruction to students, and there are those who support that delivery of instruction. And every single person has an important role to ensure our students are thriving academically and personally. And our technology team is just one of those groups that is often behind the scenes, but always working really hard to ensure our teachers have the support and the tools they need to make sure our students are thriving. So tonight, we have a video we'd like to share, and then Amanda Davis, our Director of Technology, would like to recognize some members of her team.
presentation for tonight. I have to say, this team has amazed me, and just with everything that they have done, we had a lot put on our plate over the summer. We took on a lot over the summer. We had lots of issues at the beginning of the school year. We changed systems, we added new technologies, we added new one-to-one devices, and this team, throughout it all, held everything together. They came together as a team to deliver on all of those things that we promised the district that was going to happen. And I could not stand here and sit there and tell you that I couldn't be more prouder of them for this. So I have a few people here, not everybody, but when I call you, I'm going to have Diana come real quick because she then has to go back and do the video. So, Diana. So this team has not only had personnel changes that we've dealt with, but we've also had lots of other things that have happened over the years. So just getting to have that team family feeling has been one that we try to accomplish every time we come together weekly, monthly, and in any of our meetings, because we know that we can't get it done without the whole team, both the instructional and the technical side. So I really thank you guys.
When Mr. Marino was introducing that group, he mentioned they've been busy since the bond passed in November or May of 2022. They've been busy a little longer than that with things going on in this district. And I have to tell a story about when we hired Amanda Davis, and when we started looking for this position and trying to find the right candidate. I put together that list of things that we needed in this position. And people kind of laughed because they were like, you're looking for a unicorn, because we wanted somebody who was strong in technology and all the infrastructure and pieces that you need to know, but also that had an understanding of the classroom and what teachers needed. And to have both of that is a unique combination. And when she walked in the door into the interview, we were blown away that we found that unicorn. And she has done tremendous things with this department since she's been here. And as you can see, she has built a tremendous team around her as well. So we're just proud of the technology department as a whole and what that department has become and the level of support that that department provides the district. So thank you.
All right, Ms. Alcantar, are there any public comments? No? Okay, so we're gonna move on to consent agenda. Is anyone interested in pulling a consent agenda item? No? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fuller. Thank you, Mr. Kirby. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. All right, moving on to action items and the most exciting part of our evening. 6A, loan finalist. We'll just go ahead and start with, is there a motion to name the loan finalist for Superintendent of Schools for MISD?
I'll move to announce Mark Ruffin as a loan finalist for Montgomery ISD.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kirby. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. Before we move on and take our vote, I would like to speak to everyone in the room and to the public about the process that we are coming to an end on. It's been a long process. It started in July, and we hired a search firm, and we had focus groups that gave us the qualities that they wanted us to keep in mind. We also talked to our SLT members about the qualities they would like us to keep in mind, and then the interviews began, and the process continued until we got to where we are tonight. And I just want to say, this is very exciting. My heart's pounding. I think all of us are super excited about tonight and Dr. Ruffin, because when we looked at those lists of qualities and we heard from Dr. Ruffin, we saw that he checked all of those qualities off. And he's a man of integrity. He's leaving Normandy ISD and coming here, and he's a man of integrity, strength in communication. He has a heart for students that is very visible, and his understanding of the classroom and what teachers deal with in the classroom has been shown to us. So I will actually open it up for other board members to say a few words.
So I guess the first thing that comes to mind when we go through this process is trying to take everything in. We had a lot, like you said, we opened up to a lot of different input. I think one of the biggest things for us was making sure that where we're at is we stay where we're at and we keep on going and make that seamless transition. And I think we've got a lot of good things going here. What we had, and thank you, Dr. Busby, for continuing that through this process. And the SLT team, what they've done and where they're at, we were very adamant that was going to stay together as much as it could and continue the process of what Montgomery ISD is and is becoming and will be with Dr. Ruffin. And I think with where we're at, we couldn't be more excited. But for Dr. Ruffin as a person, when he walked in and just his demeanor, when you mentioned character and his integrity, but he made a comment to me that stuck with me the whole time, and it was, I will bust my tail and do everything I can for Montgomery ISD, but I must say that my faith and my family are my priorities, but Montgomery ISD will fall right behind that. And to me, that was the most important because I think that speaks to our values as a community, a district, and myself personally.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'll just have to say that calling the references made me feel guilty. But his courage stuck out to me, and his character. And the fact that he's done so many different things, we would say, what about your communication? Well, you're looking at it. He's had so many hats that I think he knows a little bit about a lot of things, and he'll know what it takes to get things accomplished.
Well, the old saying, the cream rises to the top, we got the cream. And I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to see what you do and how you lead this district, and how it impacts our classrooms and our students. So welcome, and we're excited that you're here.
Well, this is probably the most important decision we make as a board. And we took this process very serious. We spent a lot of time through this process. And when we got down to interviewing these guys, it just, every single time we got to the next step, Dr. Ruffin was rising to the top. And every question we asked, he had a great answer. His experience all the way from the classroom to working with the SLT members at Normandy, everyone had great things to say. And when we listened to the focus groups, this is exactly, and that was Dr. Ruffin. Dr. Ruffin, welcome aboard. We're excited.
And I'll just say that I should never go last. Dr. Ruffin, I want to echo what everyone said. And actually, you're joined tonight by your wife, and she's also here, and your wonderful, beautiful family. And you had me at the point when you recognized, as Mr. Kirby said, the role that faith and family plays and the values that you'll bring to this position, and the humility and servant leader heart that you showed in your interview was apparent. So I also want to echo again to Dr. Busby, thank you for your leadership, and to our SLT in this time of transition. But in 21 days, I think it's time to get to work. And, you know, let's take on what we have coming next and make the next chapter great. So,
And then I just want to add that in the state of Texas, we are now entering from this point forward, after this vote, in a 21-day waiting period that the state of Texas requires, and so that is next. And then on December 19th, things will be official, right? So, with that being said, we've had our second. So, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. Dr. Ruffin, would you like to come say a few words?
Love to.
All right.
I wish I could have done that to start with. So I could have talked down some of the stuff y'all said. And I don't like not looking at y'all. I've talked to them a whole lot.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to y'all at all. And so forgive me.
That's fine.
You're
That's
fine.
I'm going to transition a little bit. First of all, thank y'all. I do want to start with that. Y'all kind of mentioned it, the time that these folks have poured into this process over the last several months, it's immeasurable. The amount of time that they've sacrificed with their family. It goes back to why this district is as special as it is, because of their selfless hearts and what they do every day, and their commitment to reading through dozens and dozens of pages of community feedback and sitting through town halls and board workshops and meetings and interviews upon interviews upon interviews. So thank y'all. And you know, I think, Trey, you said it. Whenever I walked into the room, I felt a connection with these folks. And I can tell you, as a dad, as a husband, when you're stepping out in faith, it's really, really comforting to know that that step is alongside people and that are opening their arms with similar values and beliefs as you. And so that brings a lot of comfort to us as we move forward in the next chapter of our lives. Dr. Busby, I had the privilege of talking to you today. I cannot thank you enough for your leadership for Montgomery ISD over the last several months. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy job. And on top of that job, she's got everything she's been doing already, right? So to find someone to stand in the gap as well and as strongly as you have for this district, I'm so thankful for. I know they're thankful for. I know they're thankful for. And I'm honored to work alongside you. Can't do that one yet. To the community, you know, it really feels like we're, maybe not we, but at least she, you know, we're coming back home almost. My wife and her brother walked these halls in this building, went to elementary school here. I won't say her brother's name because I haven't had a chance to look through his folder somewhere here. So I can't claim him publicly yet, but, you know, her aunt, Arne Pat, retired from Montgomery ISD. They grew up here as her father ran Mountain Creek Ranch. And so it's a very warm feeling. Matter of fact, whenever we came for that second interview and we pulled up to this building, she's like, "Why are we at my old elementary school?" I said, "Well, I think it's the administrative building now." So it's just comfort in knowing that. And Bay, I do want to tell you, I want to say thank you. As I mentioned, this is a difficult job that you do and that you've been doing, but you can't do it alone. And I'm sure you've learned that. You've got to be surrounded by great people at the workplace and at home. And that's my rock and that's my world. And thank you. So, Rhett, Raleigh, and Riggs, those are my three boys. Kiddos, hey, never mind, Riggs isn't going to pay attention at all. We can skip that part. But hey, Rhett, you're old enough to listen to this part. Thank you for keeping things in perspective for me. Because as the world feels bigger and bigger and bigger, man, hanging out with y'all always puts it back in the check for me. Okay? Thank you. To our staff, folks, I'm so honored and so excited to come alongside you and to serve alongside you. As you can kind of see, I'm a little bit of a softie, but what I can tell you is, as I told Dr. Busby, all of the phenomenal work that's already being done here, I've got to run full speed just to catch up. I mean, and that's what I'm so excited about, is everyone is pouring into what they do in their roles, and I'm just here to walk alongside and learn how I can help. And so with that being said, folks, I'm so excited. 21 days can't come soon enough, and I would like to just say, I feel like that I'll go ahead and say it. I feel like God has had his hand on a lot of this process, and me and Dr. Busby talked about that. And December 19th is my dad's birthday, who's no longer with us, and so that's a pretty special day for me. So thank y'all so much, and by the way, if we hurry, I do know that Montgomery Bears are playing Bryan High School right now at the high school basketball. I think Lake Creek is playing Clear Lake or somebody. So, but don't drive fast in Montgomery. I've learned that already. Okay? Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
He's already made our
That was great. Dr. Ruffin? Dr. Ruffin, do you mind taking a picture with us? And your family. Your family too.
Just a quick follow-up to the school board and the trustees here. I just want to thank you for a good process in the hours that you spent on that process to come to the conclusion that you did. I know that y'all were dedicated to that process and committed to that process. So as a district, we are able to trust and feel confident in the selection that was made. To Dr. Ruffin and your family, welcome to Montgomery ISD. We are very excited to have you here. We're looking forward to getting to know you and working with you, and I know you're going to absolutely love it here. So welcome.
And then at the end of the meeting tonight, at the conclusion, there is time to meet Dr. Ruffin and have some good snacks at the back there. So you're welcome to stay for that. So moving on to 6A, MCAD votes for Board of Directors election. Is there
It's actually B, but
oh, I apologize, 6B, yes. MCAD votes for the Board of Directors election.
I'd like to make a motion that our 291 votes as a district go to Scott Lee.
All right, thank you for that motion. Mr. Robb, is there a second?
A second.
All right, Mr. Nguyen, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. Moving to 6C, guaranteed maximum price, number 1 for package B, CTE and Ag Science Center.
Okay, as mentioned before, we have some bond projects going on in the district, and Chris Lynn has some information for us on some upcoming projects.
Good evening, Board. I was a little disappointed to hear this wasn't the most exciting item of the night, but I'll take what I can get. So, as you said, we are here to consider approval of the guaranteed maximum price for one of our premier projects in our 2022 bond, and that is for our new Career and Technical Education and Ag Science Center. Just as a reminder, previously you have hired Stewart Builders as our construction manager at risk. They completed the bid process for this first phase of work, which includes the earthwork phase, since we are so anxious to go ahead and get started. They completed that a couple of weeks ago, and it is now time for you to approve that guaranteed maximum price. This will allow the selected subcontractors to begin work hopefully later this week, if not early next week. And so this will be the site clearing This will be the building pad for both the CTE and the Ag Science Center. The rest of the plans and documents are out for bid currently. We have a pre-bid meeting Thursday, and bid day is actually December the 14th. So we will be bringing you the rest of the guaranteed maximum price at your January board meeting. But I stand before you tonight asking for your approval of GMP number 1 in the amount of $4,275,506. Just as a frame of reference, initially we had this part of the scope estimated to be approximately 5.3 to $5.4 million. So this is under where we had anticipated this scope of work to come in at. So be happy to answer any questions and ask for your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Lynn?
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Mr. Kirby?
How many subs did we have bid the work, do you know?
I believe there were 3 or 4.
You answered the only question I have, which is how are we looking on money?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? All right. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price number 1 for package B as presented.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fuller. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Ms. Porton, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Litt.
Thank you.
And we're moving to the next part, aren't we? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
6D, purchase over $50,000 for Creekside Elementary playground equipment.
Yes, ma'am. As the Creekside Elementary project continues to progress, it is now time for us to go ahead and start procuring the playground equipment. So my colleague, Ms. Carrie Fitzpatrick, and Shelby Smith have been working tirelessly with playground vendors to select the appropriate equipment and layout for Creekside. And so in your packet, you have renderings of that layout. Once again, this is meeting our new district standards that started with Lincoln Elementary School and their refresh. And so very similar to what you have seen previously. But we just are asking for your approval this evening so that we can get this equipment ordered and so that it will be installed and ready when that new campus opens in August.
All right. Are there any questions? I will just say I looked at the renderings, and we all know that playgrounds are important to parents of elementary students, and there are shade structures there, and it's even over the swings, so the swings won't be hot.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, which is important in the state of Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions? We're good? All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the playground equipment for Creekside High School, Elementary School, as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robb. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Kirby? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynn. All right, moving to information items. First reading of Update 122. Dr. Busby.
Yes, so occasionally there are updates in the legislature that impacts school law, and TASB sends out updates so that our school district policy reflects those changes. So this is an update that was released so that our board policy is updated to match those changes. So this is the first reading of those changes.
All right. Any questions or comments on any of those?
I do have
All right,
one.
Dr. Fuller?
Dr. Busby, just real quickly, what are the, in jest, what are some of the bigger
Thanks.
changes that they're offering?
Right, so there are a lot of changes. A lot of this is just, some of it's just language changes. Some of it has to do with like bus driver, the way that you can hire bus drivers with the local hiring policy, different things with our crisis intervention program and some different new requirements that are required for that, some parent notification pieces that were added to some of the rules. So those things that were passed, then this will update those policies to reflect that.
So the exceptions on, just to clarify what you're reading in board, in the board book, DBE Legal and DC Local, really provide us more flexibility for hiring bus drivers, which is kind of one of our high priority needs right now. So
Correct,
that's a big plus for us, in my opinion.
correct.
I found out that the Fruit and Veggie Day is the first Friday in April.
That was part of that.
Yeah, that was part of that, and I'm thinking, that's interesting, but what I didn't understand was they capped kids that could take the star on pencil paper to 3%. I'm just wondering why they would do that.
Right, and that was actually interesting. So last year, when they first went to all online, there were really very few exceptions we could make to have a student take it on paper and pencil. In the spring, there was some last minute considerations that came out that said, okay, now we're starting to realize there are some additional needs that students have where they need to take it on paper and pencil. So they made an exception for last year. So this law really is to put that exception permanently.
Into
Where
this
now
year.
we at least have a window of some students that we can consider to offer that paper and pencil if they do need that.
Kind of reminds me of when they capped the special ed. We're like, why would you put a cap on it?
Yeah, if it's a need, it's a need,
It's
right?
a need, yeah. I don't,
Well, when that exception came out last year, I think we only had 2 students that actually used that
Oh, is that
exception.
true?
So,
Oh,
so
okay.
I think we'll be okay with the 3%.
okay.
So these updates are very lengthy, but remember, this is the first reading, so. Any other comments? All right. Moving on to the next information item, Technology Department updates. Dr. Busby?
Yeah, so we're glad to bring back to the stage our technology department and our director of technology, Amanda Davis.
I know, this is the highlight of y'all's year, isn't it?
It is. The PowerPoint is always the highlight of my year,
Got
so
it.
yes.
Sorry. All right, so my name is Amanda Davis. I'm the Executive Director of Technology and Digital Learning. See if this works. So this year we have had lots of changes within our team, lots of new faces. So if you've been on our campuses or in our district and you've met some of our previous members, we wanted to give you an update of who kind of changed and what they look like since they're not sitting in the audience. So here's our technology leadership team. We have our instructional technology team. This is going to be anything really customer facing. So they go out, they do a lot of trainings, they do a lot of hands-on with our teachers and our students if need be. And then we have kind of the behind the scenes. This is our infrastructure and operations team. That bottom row are campus techs, and they are present probably about 85% of the time on our campuses. That's to some degree. With the rollout of one-to-one, all of these have a secondary campus that they support. So when there are lots of break fixes, they are mostly at those secondary campuses. But they pop in to our elementaries to help out and assist 2-3 times a week, just to make sure that we're capturing those needs. Of course, this one, it always glitches. So the last couple of years, we've kind of tailored the presentation around the strategic plan and each of those goals. When we were designing it this year, it was not necessarily around the goals because a lot of the things that we do match one or more goal. So we broke it up into a department focus. So we have data security and compliance, ease of use and accessibility, customer service, professional development, and asset and financial management. So as you will see throughout the presentation, if it matches a goal, it will pop out, but for the most part, it goes into one of the focuses. Just to give you a heads up of how it looks, so you're not. All right. So our customer service is top priority. Whenever we answer a ticket, whenever we're in a classroom, we always want to make sure that the person who is requesting our help either knows the solution or has a good experience with us. So we always want to make sure that we are putting that top priority, and we talk about that with our techs. We talk about that with everybody that is in our team of when you're out with customers, when you're out with our teachers, when you're out with our principals, when you're out with our students. You always want to make sure that they understand the solution, even if the solution is a no, right? We want to make sure that there's always an alternative when we have to say no. also. And normally the alternative is sending Diana in with a solution.
I want to say real quick, thank you for making that a priority. Technology is frustrating anyway, and I know it's hard on the part of the people that work in your department to keep their cool and be positive, but I really appreciate that you make that a priority with how they interact with the
Ma'am.
staff.
So in the past, we've always used Eduphoria for our help desk, and we didn't really have a lot of visibility. So this last spring, we partnered with curriculum, CTE, special education, and student services to purchase Incident IQ. It gives us a little bit more granularity on what are our troubled tickets. So when we're talking about a device that's having issues, do we not need to buy that device again? If it's a program that's having issues, should we look at an alternative program because we are having so many issues either with logins or students accessing different things. So Incident IQ is our new technology, curriculum, student services, everybody that is basically an ESC that's on that side of the house is in Incident IQ and can be assigned tickets. So when you look at our statistics, it is going to be the entire ESC, not just technology. So this last year, so July we started this. We have averaged about 4,000 tickets closed. And we still had about 160 open today. A lot of those are either in repair or waiting on a customer response. So with Eduphoria, the customer couldn't really talk back to the person that was working on a ticket. They had to go into the system and respond there. And so this way, if they reply to an email, when we send out a comment or we ask a question, they can reply back, and it's a two-way communication for us to help get their problem resolved. We do have SLAs. So this SLA is actually taken over the last 2 months. So SLAs is how much time we want to spend either on a ticket or helping to break fix tickets. And so most of our SLAs are being met at that 86%. And then our resolution time, which is 2 days, is being met at 97%. And you can see that the average response time, the amount of tickets, the amount of time it took us to close tickets was higher in August due to a lot of network issues, a lot of rolled out devices with students, and this is their first time having a device that's on their person. So we had quite a few tickets that just peaked and we could not get to them fast enough with 4 techs on campuses. And then over to the side, those are our ticket type counts. So this is an aggregate of all of our questions that get asked or issues that are put into Incident IQ. A majority of them are going to be secondary devices, which we knew about, right? We have lots of batteries or picked off keys. Some of them are broken, so it's an aggregate of all of those. And then from a software perspective, Skyward at 13%, that's actually a lot of parents. So our parents have a way to put in a help desk support ticket now where they did not have that in the past. So they can put in a support ticket directly and communicate with student services. They can communicate with our application support team and get help even for their student's device. So we did our 2023 district survey and we stayed exactly the same at 88%. We were also at 88% last year for both an aggregate of both staff and parents. And then we also do a survey and Incident IQ when a ticket is closed. We also want to know, how are we doing? We ask 3 basic questions. Are they satisfied? Were you provided a resolution in a timely manner? And did your assigned technician provide you with a reasonable explanation? Because again, that's that customer service piece and we want to make sure that we're meeting that. And we got 4.8 out of 5. And that's, again, for most of ESC, right? Not just technology in that one. All right, asset and financial management. So in the bond 2022, last summer, we touched 160 classrooms. So that was, the panel was updated, the PA system was updated, document cameras put in, and we installed 845 wireless access points, which caused us to have a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the year till we got our kinks worked out of that one. We deployed over 3,000 devices to elementary and over 5,600 devices to secondary. And there's still more to come. So in our path to bond, this is our future planning of the things that we're going to have happen. This is just a broad overview. Of course, it goes deeper with different technologies and making sure that everybody is equitable across all of our campuses. You're looking at me puzzled. So
I have a question, but I'm gonna wait.
you can ask it.
I want you to get through.
Okay.
That came across wrong, folks.
Give you the opportunity to finish.
I promise I'm not usually this mean, I promise.
It's okay. I understand. All right. Professional development is another focus of ours. So last year we gave you our Ed Tech professional development plan. So this is just a reminder of where we are this year. We're doing very specific campus trainings. We go to campuses when requested. Thank you, Jennifer, for having that open door policy so they can sign up and get immediate help at those campuses. Our elementary teachers, believe kindergarten through second grade, received Apple training during the summit this year. We only got through one day. Our Apple trainer got sick, and so we have to reschedule on a day that's good for her, or not good for her, good for us. Our campuses get Go Guardian refreshers, and then our 3 campuses that we did upgrades on have received a couple of different trainings of Samsung and Front Row, and those are still ongoing because we are still working out the kinks and figuring out how all of that works in those classrooms. So I want to pause for a second. I know, it's what I grew up with. Yeah. This video is kind of one of those like epitome of your job, because something that you envisioned 3 years ago when you came in and you said you were going to do this and you didn't know how it was going to get done, but it got done. And this is that moment of, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to have happen inside of a classroom. So we rolled out Apple devices last January. Our pre-K through second grade teachers were not excited. They've never taught with Apple devices before, and they didn't know how they were going to do it. So we had a little bit of pushback from those teachers. This year, though, Lincoln has embraced using iPads in their kinder classrooms for their Reading Horizons, which is a new curriculum for them. And so you can see.
Okay, remember, not too big, because you have to write a couple of words on your board this time.
So our teacher is up the front of the classroom with her iPad using Apple Classroom to watch her students draw all of their letters. So instead of having to have a marker board and show it up, or having to walk around to see what each of those students is doing, she can stay stationary and she can help guide their actions while they are in the program writing their letters. And so it was just kind of one of those, yes, that's what that's for. That's how you use it. Let's get more of that. Who else is going to sign up, you know? So that is all thanks to that ed tech team of putting that in place and showing them different ways to use the technology that has been put into their classrooms. We also rolled out Canvas last year for secondary, so this is their first semester really utilizing that. And then we're going to start having elementary join us in the spring for training and starting to get used to using Canvas, moving everything over. Keenan decided to be the one to go gung-ho with it, and so they're helping us work out the kinks with the parent communication side. So I definitely applaud Ms. Kirby for making that decisions, because it's helping us in how we teach all the other campuses. And then, of course, we have Skyward. It's ongoing. We are getting ready right now for future scheduling. So master schedules, course selection, all that happens in the spring. And we are prepping Skyward right now for all of that and having meetings. And then just as a reminder, we did do the summer summit with the help of literally the entire district. Diana out there, getting donations and building learning tracks. That was her whole entire baby. But we had a ton of positive feedback during that session, during all of those sessions, with a couple that people missed because we had presenters get sick last minute. So we hope to bring that back this next summer in a different format because MHS and Lake Creek both will be under renovations, so we have to have a space big enough. So I think we're working on some plans with SLT on what that's going to look like this next year to make sure that we keep the momentum of Summer Summit back going. You might have to click. Too fast. The other slide was what we do monthly, or bi-weekly. The EdTech team puts out a professional learning calendar, and they also do a bi-weekly newsletter. If you'd like to sign up, you're more than welcome to email Diana, and you can get all the great resources that teachers are getting. Both elementary and secondary are getting that. There it goes. All right, so ease of use and accessibility. This is one of my favorite videos. This is a little girl at Keenan, and she's using her little ClassLink quick card to get into her apps without ever having to type in a password or a username. And so that's another aspect of our job where we're like, oh yes, they get it. Because sometimes they don't know how to turn their iPad. She struggled a little bit, we cut that out, but she looked really good. So there was a little bit more in there. I cut it out for time, but we are making more changes to our network. Eventually, our guests and our staff will be able to register their personal devices with MISD. If you're a staff member or a student, you'll get put on your proper MISD domain to where you're filtered the same way as you would be on your school-issued device. And as a guest, you can register so that way if something happens that we need to investigate, we have a starting point to investigate that rather than just a random IP address that chief can't do anything about. So single sign-on is another one. This started in 2020, I believe. Before, right? Did it start before our shutdown or after our shutdown?
Oh no, right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle of it, okay. So since then, we have done 36 applications inside of ClassLink. Google and Microsoft both have changed their policy, so any app that is not approved for a student or a person under the age of 13 is automatically blocked. So we had to go through hundreds of apps in both platforms to approve the apps that were relevant and educational based, so that way our students and our staff wouldn't have loss of access to those. So we've done that from August through October of both Google and Microsoft platform. So this single sign-on can be used for added security. It's one password login, it's their domain login. And it's easy management because they can use ClassLink or Microsoft for their password keepers, right? So they can load all their apps in there and have one place to go to get to their applications. Our data security and compliance is always a big one. We are a Common Sense Media district, again, for the third year in a row. This means that all of our students have received 3 to 5 digital citizenship lessons by their campus. And our campus has put time and effort every October into making sure that our students understand cyberbullying and what it means to be a good citizen of your digital footprint. And we started that in 2021. Go Guardian. I don't know if y'all remember getting this training last year, Go Guardian. So this has been a great tool this year as we rolled out one-to-one. Our students are using their devices not only at school, but they are also using them at home. And GoGuardian is helping to filter them at home. It doesn't block everything because our firewall blocks a lot of things for our students here, but GoGuardian does block anything that they're using on their Chrome browser, which that's the only web browser that they are logged into. And it also tracks students when they are logged into their personal devices with their Chrome login. So these are our top websites. Sorry, blinked on that one. These are our top websites that our students are visiting. So just as a show of how much our traffic has increased this year, these are our activity analytics. So last year at this time, we were looking at 6.7 million websites visited by students this year. Last year was 1.8. And then our filter has increased incrementally, like 100,000 this year. We get to go through this data, and our students always find loopholes in our security, so we make sure that we catch those every day and block them as soon as possible, so that way instruction can continue. And then last year we talked with you about smart alerts and beacon alerts. Last year I believe we had 300 something smart alerts at this time and only 3 beacon alerts. And so beacon alerts are the self-harm piece that is directed to Ms. Dyer. So her and the counselors review those alerts and talk with those students. So this time at this year we have a lot more that we are catching.
So I will respectfully interrupt and ask, why do you think that might be?
That we have a lot more alerts.
Why do we have more beacon alerts?
I think that they have not ever had access to be able to look that up or felt safe enough to look that up. Some of these alerts don't necessarily happen during the school day. They happen at night. So when our parents are getting them, or not our parents, our staff are getting them, you know, it's an emergent question, you know, how much help do we need to provide at that moment? Some of them are false, and we did take those out. I think we had about 48 on this, so 32 out of 48 were legitimate concerns for students. But I don't think that they've had access or...
Yeah, with a increased number of devices that we have being distributed.
At home.
Now it's something that we're able to monitor, which before they were going home and using their own computers and we weren't monitoring those things. So just the access to school-issued devices is a big piece of that.
Okay. And secondly, when someone submits a beacon alert, what are we doing for that? Like, what happens?
When a beacon alert is not necessarily submitted, it's whatever the student is Googling, it's whatever the student is typing up, it's on any of our platforms. That alert goes immediately to their counselor, and it gets escalated every 5 minutes. So if it's not answered, if it's not addressed, it's constantly getting escalated, and it gets escalated up to the point where Courtney sees it. If it does get alerted, then the counselor puts in on their notes what has happened, what was the conversation, how did they address it, and so they put their own notes in there. We, on the technology side, do not have any access to Beacon, since that is very sensitive information. So Courtney and her team are the only ones that have access to that side. We only see the smart alerts that come through. And our, not our teachers, our administrators only see the smart alerts.
Thank you.
So we rolled out in October Bark for Schools. We had talked about this last year, and we kind of debated on when to roll this out. Bark for Schools is for our parents to be able to monitor their students' issued account at home. So alerts do not get sent during the school day, but it will get sent at night for our parents to be able to monitor everything that you see here. So if they're Googling, if they are writing a document, if they are sending an email, if they are sharing a file in OneDrive, they can see everything that happens with that document if it is flagged by our system. So weapons, medical concerns, things like that, profanity, it flags everything, and the parent can set their severity on what they get alerts on. So for our secondary students, it ends at 3:30 when they go home, and then for our elementary, it ends at 4:30 for us to be able to monitor and the parents to be able to monitor. So to date, we've had 268 parents join. We do encourage all of our administrators to continue to put this in their newsletter for those parents that are concerned about what their student is doing online. During the day, either Diana and I review that. If something shows up that did not get flagged by Beacon, we make sure that it gets sent over to Courtney and her team to be able to address. And then if any parents watching or in the audience would like to join Bark for Schools, which is completely free, you can click on the link and join, or type in the link and join. And it is also on our website, so that way they have all the information there. And I believe that you can monitor more, so you can have your Bark for Home, and that's at a discount through Bark for Schools. And that is it. You have 4 minutes, Chris.
You got what?
Do you mind?
Dr. Fuller's got some questions.
All right. So again, sorry about that.
It's okay.
I was trying not to interrupt you, but so you mentioned about the work that has already been done from the bond, and you mentioned things like the network and PA systems and things like that. What's the next rollout?
The next rollout is probably going to be things that you don't see. When we put in access points, we also ordered switches, so a lot of that is going to be cleanup of our network closets. Our schools are systems on top of systems, and so no one from that previous system architecture is here. And so it's really hard to kind of follow behind someone to figure out where things should be or how things should be. So as we're changing out our network closets, we're cleaning them up, we're pulling things out, we're re-architecting what it looks like. So that way we have a better understanding of where we're spending our money and how much we should actually be spending. So that way, if we have rooms that aren't being used, we can turn off that data. That way we're not adding more switches, we're not adding more drops, if we can start kind of moving things around. It also allows us to have less man hours in trying to figure out a problem. I think that's kind of our biggest piece right now, is because we have systems on top of systems. We're spending a lot of time trying to decode what was done in the past to understand how to fix the problem in the future.
If we've heard that there are slow times to get technology, are you still experiencing any sort of like supply chain or purchasing issues?
Not for devices. Our switches, we came to you last, November, October, and asked for switches to be purchased, and we still have not gotten those in. So they're slowly trickling in, but they are not fast. They're not fast at all, and so the materials to make them are there. It's just now you have such a high demand of everybody that has a back order that they're trying to fill everybody's all at once. And so that's kind of where we're at, is they're coming, it's just onesies and twosies when we get them in. So it's not a full school, it's not a full closet, it's only partial.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
I do. Before I get to it, I have a freshman that would request the grade alerts not coming on Fridays.
Alerts?
Great alerts.
He can turn off his notifications in Skyward. I think there's a video on the website for that.
Don't let him watch that video.
Yeah, right. Are we able to keep up with the demand of broken devices and warrantable to, when something goes down? This is not my realm, but are we keeping up with that?
Well, when we decided to roll out secondary, we wanted to have them have a trial year. So what we did was we collected all of the devices throughout the entire district, and we redistributed those to the secondary students. So that way they were already devices that had been used. So that way they could learn how to take care of a device, what it meant to take it back and forth from school. And so that way when we were ready to purchase devices for secondary, we would not have such a need to purchase so many of them because of breaks right off the bat. So we kind of strategically took from different campuses to fill that need at the secondary level currently. Most of our schools are pretty good. At the beginning of the year, we did have, quite a few students that just did not know how to take care of them yet. I think that has slowly trickled off, and we don't see as many requests for devices or loaners. But each of our libraries has a loaner set that they can either distribute to campus teachers, or they have a loaner set that stays in the library that gets issued out when a student comes in. So a student should never be without a device unless there is either all of the loaners are given out or it's an admin choice.
Okay, and one more quick thing. The last time that we were speaking with you, I had asked about the hotspot issues for underprivileged families and things. Has that been dealt with?
So we are still working on that permanent fix. Last time we were here, it was for our Chromebooks that were having the biggest issue. And so we rolled out a different SSID in order to allow them to connect easier. They didn't have so many hoops to jump through in getting connected to our wireless. That has been temporarily Band-Aided. We are working on a permanent fix by putting in a what we call ClearPass. It allows us to manage devices when they come online. So each of our management systems, so Apple, Windows, and Chrome, are all connected to ClearPass. And if it is a device that is in one of those management systems and it's a user that is in our network, it allows them direct access. If it is not a user within our network, it kicks them off. So there is going to be there shouldn't be a change to how the campuses operate. They should just turn them on and it all should work. But it will allow us some granularity to see who's having an issue, what room it is in, what student it is, what staff member is having that problem. So we have another pane of glass to be able to troubleshoot. So the original question is yes, that has been fixed. It is not a permanent solution.
Thank you.
Still working on it.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much to you and your department for what you do. It's a tough job, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
So much. The next information item is accountability update.
All right, so we have Chris Summers, our Assistant Superintendent of Secondary, coming to give an update, and probably a short update this time because there's not a whole lot of changes that we know.
I'm between the end of the meeting and us celebrating and recognizing Dr. Ruffin, so I will be brief. So wanted to just give you an update on where we are with A through F accountability. You might remember we've been waiting on whether they would be released or whatnot. Can you advance it? I don't think this is working. But on October 26th, there were several districts across the state that filed a lawsuit in Austin to stop or pause the A through F ratings from going out. And a judge did hear that and issued a temporary injunction order. You've got the link there. I've also got it in your board packet. It prohibits TEA from assigning any A through F performance ratings for this school year, or for the past school year, during this year, unless they file an appeal. And so far, TEA has not filed an appeal. And that would mean then we wait till the full trial, which begins February 12th. And then don't know how long the trial would last, probably a week or something like that. Then the judge would issue a ruling. The ruling could be anything from modifying the A through F to not allowing any ratings this year, or rolling back things all the way to what we had prior to this year. And so we're not sure what the judge will rule, but when we learn more, we'll share that. But basically what that means at this point is we likely will not know anything until maybe close to spring break time. And then, of course, 2 weeks later on April 9th, we start testing for this school year, start testing. So we may or may not know A through F accountability ratings for last year until after we've finished this year's round of testing and assessing and all of those things. So I'll keep you updated on that, but that's where we are, no A through F ratings. And some of the experts are indicating that we probably won't have anything out this year, but we'll see what happens.
Any
All right.
questions?
Any questions on A through F?
Comments? All right.
Awesome.
Thank you
All right,
so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right, I think it is now time to celebrate. The time is 7:04. This meeting is adjourned.